I've been talking this whole time without my mic on. Cool. Cool. I don't know how to turn on this setting on StreamYard. It automatically mutes you. Um, Let me start over. Happy Dia de los Muertos. Happy Halloween. Happy Day of the Dead. Whatever you are celebrating today, if you're not celebrating any of that, I hope you just have a beautiful day. Buen dia. Um, I want to talk about learning to receive love and your manifestations because we are shifting into November, which is fast manifestation month, and it's going to continue to pick up. And so, in order to receive your manifestations, you have to be in the frequency of love and receiving. They are like, they literally work in tandem. If your manifestation is not quite here, you haven't quite matched its frequency, which is a certain stage of love or self love for yourself, and understanding that you are worthy of receiving that manifestation. And what I do want to also mention is that learning to receive looks different for everybody because no one has experienced the exact same thing as the person next to them. And so I invite you all to redefine how you look at your self-love journey or how you experience it, and realize that there's going to be areas of your life where you might be really good at receiving love in one area, and you might be not so great at receiving love in another area. And to start with the area that is a little bit more challenging. And in More Than Worthy, we look at all aspects of your life, and I teach you how to heal and receive love on a very high frequency, very, very high frequency, to make it more comfortable for you to navigate life. Because when you feel that you are so worthy of love and happiness, you experience that. But it takes um, some time to release all of the grief, right? Things that you don't even know exist. And it can be expectations that you've been holding since you were a small child, expectations from your friends, bullying, moving, houselessness, any sort of body trauma, career things, people saying stuff to you, gaslighting. Like there's so many things, right? Like you'd be surprised how many times I've talked to people and they like remember a very unique instance where someone said something to them, and that's because that moment caused a lot of trauma. That's why they can remember it in such detail. And those moments have to be unpacked and they have to be healed, so that way you can release and let go and bring in a new frequency of love. And a lot of people tend to think that changing their external world to be about self-love and self-care is the way to receive love. No, like you can you could go to a massage like 3 times a week and hang out with your friends and budget your money and still not understand what it means to love yourself or be able to receive love. You could be doing the actions, but are you actually experiencing the frequency? Like what's behind you taking those actions? Why do you take those actions? And is there anything else in your life that you're wanting to do? Usually when people have some sort of goal in their life or something they want to achieve, or maybe they want a creative career, for instance, because a lot of you are creatives, it's really leaning into that path, right? That's your deepest sense of self-love, because you refuse to do anything else that's not going to bring you happiness. And yes, there are times when you have to do some sort of transition in order to get there financially. We live in a society that heavily relies on money and all these things, right? So you have to plan sometimes. And then also there's trust falling, like with the universe, which is what I do quite a bit. But the act of choosing unapologetically the things that you love in life, whether that's dancing or painting, singing, laying at the beach, maybe you love cooking, giving gifts to your friends, helping children out, community service. Like the more you do the things that your soul is really called to do, the easier it's going to be to receive your manifestations. And we also talk a lot about in the Western world how people are radically reclaiming their rest as well. Because for a lot of people, they haven't been able to rest and to know what they desire because their life has been so chaotic, and maybe they've felt a large amount of oppression or haven't had access to certain resources. And so they've been in survival mode their entire life, just like myself, right? Having experienced being in survival mode for a very, very long time, then learning how to heal out of that, which took self love, and then continuing that journey, realizing it's safe, and then being able to receive at a very different level. But I had to change my view on what love looked like and what felt safe to me to receive, and what the universe was actually trying to do, and tell me, and doing it alongside the universe or God and my ancestors, because you're all healing together as well. But again, I do just want to mention to people, if there's like anything in your life, and you're welcome to share it in the chat, that you feel like you're really wanting to manifest that hasn't fully stepped forward, right? You have to ask yourself, in what ways are you maybe pushing your manifestation away? Are you rushing your healing journey, right? Because sometimes people think that, I mean, sometimes it happens where manifestations will drop out of the air, but usually it's because you've done some sort of uh, mindset shift or deep healing to be able to release the old energy and call in a new energy. But then there's also this aspect of like, sometimes your healing journey is that, like, that's a part of your path. Your healing journey is a part of your path, and your manifestation comes, but it's just you are on this journey to discovering yourself and whatever, contract you have with the universe. And it doesn't mean that you can't change things, right? Because you can manifest different things on different timelines and whatnot. But sometimes your soul has asked to have a healing journey, and it takes you completing that healing journey and completing cycles like we do in tarot in order for you to get to that zero card, the Fool card. A lot of people don't realize that the tarot is your life cycle, which is why I love that divination tool, because it's it's more than just like reading energy for people, right? On YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, like, people get obsessed with seeing the readings, but they forget that they are the energy and you are the Fool. And as you journey through tarot, you meet different aspects of yourself, and then you get to the end of a cycle and you end the cycle dies, you walk away, all of these things, and then you're in a new cycle. And hopefully that new cycle is an elevated new cycle. But you have to go through these cyclical healing cycles with the universe in order to continue to ascend, because it's like you're learning your lessons, and you're releasing things, energetic weight, maybe you're releasing different mindsets, and so you're not going to repeat the same actions as you did before. And maybe you get to the end of your cycle, and then all of a sudden you do repeat what you did, in the previous cycle, and then you have to go through the cycle again. And it's in that cyclical kind of healing that self-love is really born. And that's why I love watching people grow in More Than Worthy, because it's 6 months and a lot can happen in half of the year with the astrological calendar. So watching them not just grow their gifts, but also go through these healing cycles, and being there while they're quantum leaping and making these decisions, and guiding them and helping them with their food and manifestations. And then at the end of it, they're just a completely different alien. And it's so fun. To watch, but you have to allow yourself to go through the healing and receive the love, which starts with you having that deep knowing and understanding and desire to want to heal yourself, to want to be different, to choose something different. And it was quite interesting when I was on a call, and the manifestation teacher was being very honest. There were like thousands of people on the call, and they had said, I know that like 80% of you are not going to manifest the things that you are wanting. And I was like, I appreciate your realness, right? And he was like, the only reason why I say that is because there's like a good amount of people who aren't willing to do the healing, and they believe that just saying your prayers is the only way for you to be able to manifest and receive love. And I do feel like in many Western ways with colonialism, which I'll forever bring up with generational healing and spirituality, has taught people an over reliance on um, external help when you are the cause of many things in your life, and your brain is the one that generates a lot of the suffering, unless it is like inflicted onto you and X, Y, and Z, right? Those, though there are circumstances like that, absolutely. um but then it is up to you to also be able to access a higher frequency, but you have to do the healing. And what's great is when you journey in the spiritual realm and you decide to do your healing alongside the spiritual realm can actually come in and teach you how to receive more love. And I also love seeing people have heart openings in Z School for the Gifted, which last night's class was a lot of fun. We did a brujeria step by step and candle workings and all the fun things and petition writing, and it was really cool divination. Um, but the spiritual realm can come and step in because you've decided to ascend and elevate your energy, which likely means you're also going to help humanity in a different way. And sometimes, depending on the type of healing that you are grasping for, that you are trying to evolve towards, requires the help of the seraphim or of deities or orishas or other gods and God, right? And the elements, because you are everything and you are energy. You are, air, earth, you are your ancestors. And so as you elevate in frequency, you have more access to assistance on the other side, and they're able to step in and help you quite a bit. And it's just a really cool journey to watch. But receiving love truly is the most important thing for your manifestations. Hi, Ashley. Hello. What are some things to assist in a healing journey? This last year has been hard. Just when I think I'm healed, I feel knocked back down. Today, especially, is really hard on this healing journey. Yeah. What about today is difficult? It. I appreciate your question. It really depends on the person. Personally, if you are doing deep generational healing, I always tell people, whether they are in Z School for the Gifted, the art of manifesting, um, the art of love and magnetism, and or in More Than Worthy, the first thing you have to do is take space for yourself, so that you can actually get to know yourself and remove your physical body from situations that are feeling traumatic in order to begin the healing journey. A lot of people like to remain in the same environment, which I get it if like you were living in a house and that kind of stuff, but they still interact with people quite a bit. In More Than Worthy, I ask people to articulate, if they are able to safely, to their friends and family, that they are going on a healing journey, and they are to be respectful of their boundaries so that they can safely do their healing. And same thing with their friends, right? And then having other people around you who are also healing, or a mentor. Like I'm big on mentoring and coaching. I don't believe anybody should be doing their generational healing on their own. It's actually quite dangerous because you start uncovering grief and anxiety, and when you're evolving with your gifts, it's quite easy to misread messages and things like that and become heavily helpless in your journey and quite depressed and all these things. So having a mentor space, and in my community, they also have a group that they can access, so that they know that they're not being gaslit, right? Because that will happen as you go on your healing journey. And it's quite challenging as well, the healing journey. I applaud anybody who begins it, because it's not easy. You're looking at yourself from a very unbiased lens, and when you're with the spiritual realm, it will reflect back to you exactly who you are and what you need to see. I'm suffering from self-hate. I've made a lot of decisions that are proving not to work out and make me feel unworthy. Yeah, it's actually quite common to do that. And I just want to applaud you for doing your healing journey and articulating it here, right? Speaking it out into the world. Let me close this. Wait. If you are wanting help and assistance, you're welcome to book a chat with me. If you want to talk more about your decision making, it is one of the first things that I do teach people. Everybody knows that they start with accountability, because if someone is not successful at accountability, not in the sense where, oh, I can like go to the gym, I can do all these things. If they are not holding themselves accountable for their emotions, their actions, their decision-making skills, their emotional intelligence, their self-advocacy, everything that requires you to create change in your life, you will never create the change in your life. You will constantly be putting yourself through these cycles of trauma, and it gets harder and harder and harder and more frustrating, and sadly, like, sometimes people don't always make it through all the cycles, right? So yeah, it depends on what you are experiencing, and that accountability can help you not just have a newfound respect for yourself, but a clear path forward on what you are going to change, because accountability requires that you have some sort of plan. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have an Excel sheet and all these things. No, it's you have the awareness of the decision that you are making. If it doesn't work out, you have the ability to look at that decision from an unbiased lens, understand what happens, and create a plan so you do not repeat it. And you don't shame yourself and you don't hate yourself for those decisions, because at the end of the day, everybody is a reflection of the life, or of the family that they were raised in, or community, or figurehead, right? And so now it's up to you to change that story. My journey started shortly after my daughter was born. It was an emergency C-section. After that was a wild ride of up and down decision making. Yeah. How old is your daughter now? How old is your daughter now? And having a daughter is a child in general is a huge life change. Um, and then can definitely trigger people into doing their healing journey, and having a child by your side doing a healing journey. Oh, they're little, they're so little. She'll be one on Monday. Oh, happy early birthday to your daughter. It can feel quite it can feel quite intense, but I feel like, especially because you have a daughter, I wouldn't recommend um, doing the healing journey by yourself. So surrounding yourself with people who are also healing in a safe container. Again, you're welcome to book a chat. I can actually drop the link if you need to have a discussion as well. Um, but even hormonally, having a child, that first year and that second year, and while you are awakening, is going to be an intense time, because you're also facing getting to know yourself. If you haven't done any healing before now, to the extent of generational healing before having a child, uh, you kind of get pushed into healing any aspects of what motherhood will look like to you going forward, because you are now responsible for an entire a tiny little one. Right? Are you raising the child by yourself, or do you have people around you to help? I appreciate you sharing. Um, Healing is a very powerful tool in all aspects, right? And it's also something that you can pass on to other family members and normalize. Like, it's great that you're beginning your healing journey now, because as your daughter gets older, that's also something that they can do as well. It's natural. In some cultures, it's like, I feel like it's more of a social thing and less of a cultural thing, of if you get therapy or if you ask for help and that sort of thing, you are seen as a little bit weak, which isn't the case, which is why it's so important for everybody to normalize doing their generational healing in general, spirituality in general, because it's necessary for this world to make it through anything. Like, we are experiencing globally, like, catastrophic things, very catastrophic. And in the group that I was in, they were asking, because I'm an activist, like what was the most important thing? Because there were some of the people there, um, they were retired, and that's why they were in the city. And so I was like, great, let me have a conversation with you since you're retired and have all this money. But they were wanting to help the community, and you know, I I was like, we need to have a certain subset of the, community focusing on creating immediate relief to people who need it right now, but we also need a huge portion of people who are thinking 5 to 10 years out and developing things so that the folks who are experiencing large amounts of trauma have something to turn to, because they're going to need extra mental health support. And so you need to start investing in companies like myself who are actually out here helping people heal now, and into the future, so that it's prevented down the road. But it does always start with us at some point. I'm not. I have a 5-year-old as well. Oh, okay. You have a 5-year-old as well, but I have relatives and my boyfriend. But my kids are with me all day, and I get little to no sleep. I did do therapy after her birth and after I started my journey. Okay, so what have you been doing on your healing journey? Like, how are you facilitating your healing after you had done therapy? Like, what is something that you do? I will share this link with you actually. Um, Let me pull it up. I just changed the name from the consults. It's called a Queendom Call. But you can definitely come, and um, if you need to create a path for your healing journey, I can help you with that. And we can also look at resources within my wheelhouse, because I have quite a few. I've been doing this for a long time. Um, that can help you as well, from free resources to paid resources. And so I can get you going as fast as I can, and send that stuff to you. I try affirmations. I recently got back into journaling. Good. Affirmations are beautiful. Are you listening to music, you mean? Or just speaking them out? Journaling is also good. Thank you for the link. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to help. Thank you for sharing your story as well. I think it's important that everybody, you know, share, because it's normal. Everybody, there's like a huge portion of people who are healing, but I don't think they know where to go, because our in the Western world, I'm not quite sure where you're from. Where are you from, Ashley, if you're comfortable saying? Um, we heavily rely on just therapy, but not implementing the spiritual side, which is who we are. And we need that. We need cognitive reframing mixed in with the spiritual, mixed in with like indigenous grieving techniques alongside other things to help people really heal and make it last. And that's what I specialize in. And I have had many clients who also go see a therapist at the same time to get the talk therapy, while also I'm doing the other cognitive spiritual healing, adjusting their food, all sorts of things. And folks who don't do the work in tandem, but both are beautiful paths to take. um, and so I feel like sometimes folks will be in and out of therapy because it doesn't quite fit the entire wheelhouse or what they're looking for on a full journey. The US, Texas. I get a lot of folks from Texas. I lived there for a little bit in Houston. I haven't been there in a while. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of people there. Um, What are you wanting to call in for your life? Is there a word or an emotion? Everyone's welcome to put it in the chat, that you are welcome to share. Today is also a portal day because it's the 31st and we're heading into 111 tomorrow. So being clear about what you are manifesting is also a good idea. And even you just being here, asking questions plants the seeds for yourself, for your mind, for your energy, for your guides, for your ancestors, to let them know, like, this is what I need, right? And when you are ready for the teacher appears. And here I am. So give yourself like a pat on the back. But it's, receiving love, as I mentioned, does start with us. And you being so curious is a huge act of being able to receive love, and asking for resources and things like that. It's a powerful thing, because you will always be able to alchemize if you realize that you are not alone in this world. But it's easy to feel that way before and on your healing journey, even with people around you. Um, and so your insight and your self-awareness, realizing that you don't want to make the same decisions as you've made in the past, is very powerful. And that's, I hope you are congratulating yourself for that. Because not many people are willing to share that, or be open. And I was talking to someone today about how sometimes you get to the point with your manifestations where you want to change, right? You can feel it, and then astrology comes and assists you and tries to push out the negative energy. And I was like, yeah, you get to the point where you're just like, I'm sick of this. I'm so sick of this. And I'm like, if you need to like yell, scream, stomp it out, get this grief out of your body, because it has to go somewhere. It has to alchemize. And that's where having a mentor like myself, who can see it, who can sense it, who can give you an extra perspective on your journey, is really helpful, right? Because generational healing, like, it's so much bigger than people think. Everybody needs to be doing their generational healing, and it's a lot stronger than a lot of the healthcare system. And that act of love is just, it ripples through time, and it keeps going. I see a lot of my clients, just running these really beautiful activist type businesses, where they know in their core who they are, and they're married, and their marriages are quite strong as well. And they're not afraid to choose themselves, but also choose humanity in a really powerful way. And that's just going to continue on. So learn to receive as much love as you can, especially if you are someone who is interested in making a difference in this world, or you believe that there should be a difference in this world. We have to individually start. We have to collectively, individually start, even if it's painful, which it will be. It's healing, right? It's not always going to feel the most joyful, but afterwards you will feel great. And we talked about that as well. Someone was like, get ready to cry, but you will feel so good afterwards. I was like, that was the best testimony I think I've ever heard. And it's like you find this newfound joy in the world, and all you want to do is share it with people. And that is way more powerful than sharing harm and things like that, especially with people within families and whatnot, right? Because we can't break the cycles unless we are aware of the cycles, and we can't create the change unless we have a plan to change. But how are you going to change if you don't know where the cycle is? I could talk around this in circles, but I really wanted to share that today with self-love and Shakti Day and manifestation, because tomorrow is also a really powerful portal. And if you've been already feeling the energy shift, that is why, because you're being beckoned into a new stage of life. And if you want to leap, you must change, you must alchemize, you must let go. Today's a powerful day for endings, right? We have the spiritual realm with the door that's wide open. There's been ancestors just running amok in my place, and I love it so much. And I also started my moon cycle, so it's like the signs are always around you when you are ready to make the change, but you have to be open to receiving love in a different way. And if you're getting interesting invitations today that you don't usually get, that's probably a sign from the universe of what are you going to choose, because tomorrow is 111. It's like the beginning of a cycle, right? We're at the end of a month with the spiritual realm open and releasing things through the shadows, through the spiritual realm behind the veil is also great. We can welcome our ancestors in, obviously, like having our ofrendas and prayers and altars, but also we can let go of versions of ourselves and let them pass on, per se, in the spiritual space. So you're welcome to also, petition or light a candle for yourself or old version of yourself that you want to release, because it's important in order to receive love. Allow yourself to be able to receive love, but you have to cut ties with a lot of the past. And if you need help with that, I also have candle workings as well. You all know they're in the description, but it will help with your manifestations. It's just a really big day, and if you've been feeling a little hypersensitive the last couple weeks or a week or so, it's like a good sign. It's a good sign. Doesn't mean you have to be like all depressed and all these things, but if you're picking up on the shift, that means you are aligning, you are elevating, and you are being invited into a new timeline. So you might as well just make the leap. You might as well make the leap, um, and keep going, because you're meant to keep going. And if you're calling in new manifestations that seem quite large prospectively, um, then you're going to feel larger releases, right? Because you have to make room for what's coming. And if you haven't cleared out your space and cleaned up, or I mentioned that I like did feng shui again on my entire place. I highly recommend you do that. Align your energy to receive your manifestations, and it will always help. Every time I've made a big leap, a very, very big leap in my energy or in timelines or even in with my gifts, there's always some sort of big death and rebirth and a physical environment change that my guides and my ancestors lead me to help open new energy channels, also help me usher in different types of opportunities and to start anew, right? Being that zero card in the deck of tarot, the Fool card. So if you're being called to do certain things, like I highly recommend you do it for yourself. Even if you're like, I don't know why I gotta move this over here, like just follow, just follow your intuition. Even if your ancestors are like, move the altar position, it's probably for a reason. And you're welcome to come to Z School for the Gifted. It's every Thursday. If you have any questions, it's a great group to be a part of. We do a lot of activities. I can actually see what I'm teaching next week. There is an event calendar also in the description. Let me see. So next Thursday. So once a month, we focus on developing one very specific clair. We've gone through claircognizance, clairsentience. I think we did clairvoyance already. And now, no, clairaudience. And now I'm going to be teaching on psychometry. So clairtangency. So learning how to read things through your hands, and it's going to be a lot of fun. um, so if that is something that interests you, I highly recommend you join next Thursday. I'll be continuing to post. I do have a class on Wednesday, but the bigger class is on Thursday. Wednesday is more for international times, but if that time is the only time that works for you, I highly recommend you come. And it's going to be great. Usually when we do the Claire classes that are specific to Claire development, I lead people through some sort of deep meditation, and then eventually I will put the meditation on Insight Timer, which you can also check out where the free meditations are for you to continue to develop your Claire. So the goal is you show up for your Claire development, and then the whole month you focus on developing that Claire alongside any of the other themes. So For instance, after that, I'm going to be teaching on crystals and elemental magic. So while you are developing your clair tendencies, you will also be working with crystals and elements, right? Which are very tangible things. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And your spiritual education is also a way to love yourself and get to know your gifts and also help with your manifestations, because it doesn't hurt to have more divination tools. And the closer you are to a natural state, meaning submerged into states of lots of energy or of alchemizing, which crystals and things are, because they come from the earth, and elemental healing, obviously all of the elements are part of the world. It makes it easier to manifest alongside nature or with nature, because you become high frequency. And that's why it's also important to eat healthy food, so that you don't pull down your frequency and stay too much in this physical realm, and your manifestations can come through and you can have very clear cognitive function. Because also, as you make these leaps, as you grow your spirituality, your brain might become a little bit foggy because you're trying to process, and healing journeys require a lot of processing. In More Than Worthy, I usually spread out the sessions to a month, because there needs to be integration time for the amount of work that you are doing within the program. And your brain needs help. Your brain needs help. Your energy needs cleansing. You're going to be feeling stuff astrologically. So that's how it's kind of designed. And I recommend, if anybody would like to join More Than Worthy, come say hi. It's a really great thing, and it includes the Divine Academy. So on the 22nd, it'll actually include all 3 classes from the Divine Academy: the Art of Love and Magnetism, Z School for the Gifted, and Magic to Market. But right now, for Tier 3, which is ending November 22nd, if you want to take advantage of that, I highly recommend you do. It includes Magic to Market and Z School for the Gifted, but it does not include the Art of Love and Magnetism, where we do a lot of generational healing. So, and today we had so much fun, actually, in the Art of Love and Magnetism. I like to bring in movie clips. I like to bring in movie clips now. And today we looked at Under the Tuscan Sun, and it was so much fun. And the theme was pleasure as power. It was just so good. So if you want the complete package, highly recommend you join More Than Worthy, especially if you're an entrepreneur and those sort of things. It's very supportive. But again, I'm going to close out in just a minute, but I just wanted to remind everybody that, whatever you are trying to manifest in your life, if it is not here, focus on your self-love, focus on your journey of healing, focus on the manifestation already being done, and not getting too stuck in the day-to-day things, but to stay as present as possible in what you are manifesting, with love, joy, and happiness, and then continuing to move forward. I'm getting such a strong vision right now. It's making me quite dizzy. And on that note, everybody, I'm going to close out. I hope you have an amazing time. I did take a quick break from the Mango Men and Adventures of a Single Chugileño because I wanted to tweak a few things. So expect those coming to Substack really soon, and also expect the Hidden Fairies, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be a magical ride. And one other surprise from a friend of mine that we're going to be launching together very soon. So I'm sending you lots of love. Happy Dia de los Muertos. Happy Halloween. Happy day, whatever you are doing. And I will talk to you soon, my friends. Again, all the information is going to be in the description for chats, Insight Timer. You can also pre-save my new song called The Stars in Me, which drops on 11/11. Woo! Along with a music video. That's going to be so fun. And I've got a book and podcast and you name it. Everything is in the description. So I will talk to you later. Have fun. Have a safe weekend.